Where's this immunologist you know?
Who says I know an immunologist?
Do you think we might find one at the pub?
There's one right there.
No, you can't break the fourth wall.
There's a window. Harry!
Hello.
How you going? Sorry, would you mind answering a few questions?
Sure.
I know you just want to enjoy the show.
Hi!
Hi there.
Oh, you must be Harry.
Yes.
Could we meet you at the pub?
Sure, I'll meet you there.
I'll buy you a drink. Let's go. Scarlet. I'm feeling a lot better. Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you. Where do you want to? We have a
Oh,
drink over here.
well, let me grab you a stool. Oh, why don't you sit yourself there?
Thank you.
Okay, so, can you tell us all about what your work is?
So I'm an immunologist at the ANU, and I research how we look at immune responses to malaria. And so we're trying to work out malaria at the moment. We don't have a current vaccine for. We're trying to understand why what goes wrong with malaria vaccinations, why don't they seem to work very well, and how can we make a better one.
Okay.
What about flu vaccines? Do they work well?
Yeah, they work
Should he
well.
have one?
Should he have? Yeah, if you haven't already had one, although it's a bit late, I think, for the flu season's a bit over, but you should get one next year.
Oh, is that really bad? Am I going to die?
No, well, how old are you?
Oh, that's rather a personal question.
Under 65 and you might be okay. But, the flu vaccine is very important. You know, if you work and you don't want to get the flu's pretty shit to get. So getting the flu vaccine will give you generally an 80% less chance of getting it.
Okay.
So it's not 100% then?
No, because the flu vaccine's a little bit different to all the other vaccines we get in that there are a lot of different strains of the flu. And the flu, just by its nature, changes rapidly, and that's why you have to get one every year compared to our normal vaccines. And so we actually work out what flu vaccine you need by looking at what flus people in the northern hemisphere have been getting, and then we assume that we're going to get similar flus.
Oh.
So I think last year everybody got bad cases of the flu because we did get the vaccine wrong. We didn't put the right things in there.
Oh, yeah, see?
Informed
So-
scepticism.
Yeah, okay. No, so it's a little bit like, you know, the flu behaves like a flock of birds flying south for the winter.
I mean, it's generally transmitted by birds. A lot of the flu is brought about by birds.
And
so-
roosters. That's bird flu.
Okay, now can you tell me, is there a risk, if I have a vaccine, is there a risk that I could catch the disease?
It is. So, for example, for anybody who's around my age or young or older, we would have gotten the polio vaccine.
How old are you?
25, nice and sprightly.
Oh.
Flu doesn't bother me.
Just to let you know.
The polio vaccine, when I got it, would have been just a spoonful that you would have taken orally. However, now we don't take that. And the reason is that particular vaccine was an attenuated version of the virus.
What does attenuated mean?
It doesn't make you sick. So we've genetically modified it to not make you sick, but it still looks the same. So to your body will mount an immune response to it, and ideally, in the same way that if you actually got polio and you got better, you would never get it again. So a vaccine works on the basis that you would have gotten polio, we would have tricked your body into thinking you had polio, and you would be safe from it. But because it is a genetically modified virus, it had like a 1 in a million chance of reverting back to the real polio virus and making you sick. But nowadays, before, that was actually, you had more chance of getting the disease from friends and family than you did from the vaccine. But now, because polio is basically non-existent in Australia, we give an injectable form of the vaccine which uses a dead virus instead.
Dead?
Yes, but your immune system will still respond to it, just not as well. So the oral vaccine is better, the live version will give you a better immune response that will protect you for longer, but because it does have that risk of making you sick, and that risk is now greater than the chance of getting it naturally, because it just doesn't exist in Australia, we reverted to a vaccine that doesn't work as well, but it's safer.
Wow. Wow.
So what about other vaccines? Are there some that are more safe or less safe?
I mean, vaccines are still a medical treatment, so all vaccines come with some inherent risk, but I think in general, like, have either of you ever had smallpox?
No.
No, and that's because we do have a vaccine that basically eliminated the disease 40 years ago, but let's just say we lived before the vaccine, and all three of us got smallpox. One of us would have died.
Okay.
But the other two would have been lucky and survived. But thanks to the vaccine, none of us would have gotten smallpox, and all of us would have survived. So if there is a slight chance that somebody may have gotten a little bit sick, or some people who got the smallpox vaccines would have gotten bad scars on their arm, that I think is worth it for not dying.
So coming back to your research, you can actually see an immune response happening.
Yeah, so what I do in particular is we can look at a particular kind of immune cell called a B cell, which produces antibodies. If anybody's heard of antibodies, we can actually identify B cells that respond to the malaria parasite. So the immune system works in a specific manner. If you get sick with malaria, there'll be specific cells that respond just to malaria. And we can identify those cells, and if we give in a mouse or in a human a malaria vaccine, you can identify a population of cells that respond to that parasite will come up. So you can see that an immune response is occurring.
And so far you haven't got that to work properly.
Nobody's gotten it to work properly, but it's because...
But I thought that if this was just some big hoax, you could make it up and,
I wish
sell
you
it
could,
to people.
If I could tell somebody that we'd invented a malaria vaccine and they believed me, that would be my career there.
But I'm sure there is a malaria vaccine, and I know people are saying it's not working.
Yeah, well, because it doesn't... So malaria is a little bit tricky because unlike smallpox, where say one of us died but the other two are fine, we would have never gotten it again. Because our immune system remembers it. Malaria is a bit tricky because you can be infected with the parasite that causes it, you can get better, but it will infect you again and again and again. So our body doesn't know how to naturally become immune to the parasite. So our normal strategy of vaccinating, which is essentially tricking your body into thinking that it was sick before, doesn't really work if your body doesn't know how to deal with it in the first place. So what my research is all about is trying to understand what's going wrong, and can we actually design a vaccine that sort of trains our body into doing the right thing rather than tricking it.
Wow. Oh, is that your phone?
I think it is. I've got a patient.
Oh,
So I'll go get another drink.
Good idea.
Harry, hang on. Oh, I didn't get you one.